Hello students, today we will study medieval India, the Delhi Sultanate. By the 10th and the 11th centuries, numerous small kingdoms had emerged in North India because of the absence of a powerful central government. When there is no powerful central government, what happens? Small kingdoms they start erupting, they break away from the bigger king and declare themselves independent. So, this is what happened in the 10th and the 11th centuries. These kingdoms were constantly at conflict with one another. This lack of political unity was largely responsible for quick victories of the Turks, who began their conquest in the 11th and 12th centuries. However, their empire was established in the 13th century. So, seeing that the weakening of central power, central authorities, foreign powers like the Turkish, the Ottoman Empire, the Turks are called as the Ottoman Empire, they began to invade India. At first, they only invaded India with the intention of looting and taking away enormous wealth from here. But then they thought that so many times they have invaded and so many times they have got riches from this kingdom, so why not establish a kingdom here? So, in the 13th century, the Delhi Sultanate was established. The period between 1206 and 1526, when five dynasties successively ruled from Delhi, it is known as the period of Delhi Sultanate. It was so called because the rulers of various dynasties which ruled from the capital of Delhi were called as sultans. Okay, so during 1206 to 1526, around five dynasties, five different families successively ruled Delhi. So this period is known as the Sultanate, the rule of the Delhi Sultanate. Since these dynasties established the kingdom in Delhi and ruled over major portion of India through Delhi. Now, how do we come to know about these sultans? There are various sources through whom or through which we come to know about the rule of the sultans in Delhi. There are a number of official records, administrative manuals, biographies, autobiographies, court histories, chronicles, foreign travelers' accounts, and private correspondence which provide much information for reconstructing the history of the Delhi Sultanate. The important source of information about the Delhi Sultanate are number one, the inscriptions. What are inscriptions? Whatever is written on monuments, on coins, okay, on stone slabs. These are known as inscriptions. Inscriptions are valuable supplements and not the sole source of information of the Delhi Sultanate. So this is not the only source of uh, knowledge of about Delhi or Delhi Sultans. The inscriptions are found on coins, on monuments, milestones, tombstones. Some of the inscriptions are in Sanskrit, some in Arabic, and some in both the languages. For example, the first coin issued by Muhammad Bakhtiyar Khilji bears both Arabic and Sanskrit inscription. Similarly, the famous traveler Ibn Battuta noticed a commemorative inscription in the Jama Masjid in Delhi, which he deciphered. Deciphered means which he was able to decode. So, in the initial stage, the Arabs or the Delhi Sultans they use both the language of the people, that is Sanskrit, and their own language to inscribe, to write. In some coins, uh, for example, the first coin which was issued by Muhammad Bakhtiyar Khilji of the Khilji dynasty, they bear both the Arabic and Sanskrit inscription. And a famous traveler, Ibn Battuta, he was able to decode some of the inscriptions which were engraved in the Jama Masjid. Then the second most important source of knowledge about the Delhi Sultans are the monuments. The rulers of Delhi Sultan built many monuments which reveal not only the cultural trends or the periods but also the living conditions, faith, beliefs, and socio-cultural outlook of the rulers. The most significant of these monuments is the Qutub Minar in Delhi. Okay, Qutub Minar, he was Qutubuddin Bakhtiyar Kaki. So the Qutub Minar is named after a Sufi saint. So these are the beliefs of the sultans. They had faith in the saintly people. So such monuments, they tell us about the socio-cultural and the faith and belief of the sultans in those days. The most significant of these monuments is the Qutub Minar, which is in Delhi. It was started by Qutubuddin Aibak and was dedicated to the Sufi saint Qutubuddin Bakhtiyar Kaki, who was greatly venerated by the people of Delhi. Venerated means they adored him. They did not worship him like God, but they respected him so much that whenever they were in trouble, they went to this saint so that the saint should intercede for them, pray to God, and bless them and take them out of their trouble. The structure was completed by Iltimish. Its special features are: when originally completed, the Qutub Minar rose to a height of 71.4 meters with 4 stories. The tower was damaged by lightning in 1369, and in the course of repairs and renovation, Firoz Shah Tughlaq further raised the height. So initially, the height of the Qutub Minar was 71.4 meters. It was a 4-storied tower, huge tower, and incidentally in 1369 it was struck by lightning. The top tower was damaged, and so Firoz Shah Tughlaq, he undertook the repair work of this, and while repairing he also increased the height of the Qutub Minar. Now it has 5 stories, tapering as they ascend. So it is very broad at the base and it becomes narrow as it rises higher. Each story is separated from the other by a projecting balcony. The entrance the entrance is through the doorway on the northern side. The minar is a circular tower about 13.8 meters in diameter at the base and tapers to the width around 3 meters at the summit. It has a circular stairway of 379 steps leading to the top. Red sandstone, marble and grey quartzite were used to construct the Qutub Minar. Each of the tower has a projecting balcony. These balconies are supported in such a way that the whole structure takes the load of weight. No wonder that such an old building has lasted so many centuries. So that is the speciality, that the structure is bearing the weight, the lower structure is bearing the weight of the upper structure, and so on. Verses from the Holy Quran and some intricate carvings with floral motifs are inscribed on this tower. Okay, now after this we have another topic of it is the slave dynasty. Okay, the Delhi Sultanate is also called as the slave dynasty. Why it is called the slave dynasty? Because there were 5 successive ruling dynasties, namely the slave, the Khilji, the Tughlaq, the Sayyid, and the Lodhi dynasties. Okay, so earlier when the Ottoman Empire they invaded India, he left one of his faithful Sardar who was a slave, and he made him the Sultan of Delhi. That is why it is termed as the slave dynasty. Muhammad Ghori, he defeated Prithviraj Chauhan at the Second Battle of Tehran in 1192. Delhi passed into the hands of these rulers later. From Delhi, the Turkish rule was established into the Gangetic Plains and to Bihar and Bengal. The victorious Turks, before leaving for Afghanistan, left behind a slave general Qutbuddin Aibak as viceroy of the conquered land. That is why it is known as the slave dynasty. Okay, so we'll pause here. I will send another clip describing Qutbuddin Aibak and Alauddin Khilji and so forth and so on.